Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 3 Legend of the Dragon King Part 55 based on novel. So let's start. Mushi was stupefied. That's right. You still only have one ring. How could I forget? You're not that great after all. You're still so much weaker than me. Tang Wulin felt as if 3 black lines were sliding down his forehead. Just what is she thinking? An unexpected smile spread across Mushi's face. My heart calmed down as soon as I remembered that. Yeah. No one could be that unbelievably powerful and you're no exception. Alright, hurry up and go then. I'm not participating in the individual competition, but I am in the team competition. I won't go easy on you when we face off. Well, assuming you make it that far. Tang Wulin waved goodbye to Mushi as he ran off. It was nearly time for the individual competition. Watched his departing figure, Mushi's smiling expression gradually vanished. She muttered, Dad was right. I really should form a good relationship with him. That brat, HMPH. I really want to pinch him to death. A smile spread across her lips as she spoke the last few words. It was far more brilliant than the one that had previously graced it. Sun with rays. Once he arrived at the competition ground, Tang Wulin rushed to check the progression of the matches. Fortunately, there was still some time before his match. Since the individual competition had advanced to its second round, each match was far longer than before. After making sure that he was on time, Tang Wulin spotted his teammates nearby. Xie and Ji Yu stood next to each other, observing the battles of their competition. Tang Wulin quickly walked over. Your blacksmithing competition is done? How do you do? Ji Yu asked. I did great, Tang Wulin answered. The champion will be decided tomorrow. Since the blacksmith's competition wasn't very popular, it only took 3 days to finish. Have you guys fought yet? Tang Wulin asked. Ji Yu shook her head. Not yet. I'm still waiting. So what's the situation? Tang Wulin asked. Has anyone powerful appeared yet? Ji Yu answered, a few. We just saw a 3-ringed soul master. A 3-ringed opponent will be kind of tough. With an upper age limit of 15, it was certainly to be expected that some 3-ringed soul masters would be found in the junior division. Compared to Xie and Ji Yu, both of which had 2 rings and powerful martial souls, Tang Wulin merely had a single soul ring and the trash tier blue-silver grass. Although he brought his martial soul up to the 1000-year level, he was still an infant against those 3-ringed giants. Yet, in spite of that, Tang Wulin's confidence did not waver. He never expected to do particularly well in the individual competition, he only entered in order to further temper himself. It wouldn't be much of a loss if he were defeated by an opponent that was more powerful than him. At that moment, Tang Wulin's eyes went wide. Yi Xinglan and Xu Lixi approached him like enemies meeting on a narrow road. The former led the way while the latter followed like a servant. There's no way she signed up for the individual competition, right? Tang Wulin was speechless, but anticipation flickered within his heart. The two were from Shrek Academy, so he couldn't help but wonder just how strong they were. Are you waiting for your match? Yi Xinglan approached Tang Wulin with a sinister grin. Tang Wulin pretended to be disinterested. Did you sign up for the individual competition too? If I remember correctly, the competition was already underway when you decided to sign up. What does that have to do with anything? Yi Xinglan asked. I just needed to speak with the organizers and tell them that I wanted to spar with you guys. Of course they made an exception for me. Since I guaranteed I won't fight for the top 8, they happily agreed to my participation. Tang Wulin's heart stirred, anxiety seeping into his heart. Oh, right, I wanted to tell you the good news. The opponent you drew for today is unable to make it, so another opponent has been arranged for you, me. Faced with the smirking Yi Xinglan, Tang Wulin felt as if he had encountered a little devil. He knew her what she was aiming for without even needing to think about it. Xie's and Ji Yu's faces darkened. This was especially the case for Gu, whose narrowed eyes held a cold sheen. Tang Wulin, on the other hand, continued to meet Yi Xinglan's gaze without faltering. Their gazes locked, and he flashed a radiant smile at her. Fantastic! Fantastic? He isn't scared at all? Yi Xinglan was stunned. This guy isn't scared of having a match with me? But I'm from Shrek Academy. She couldn't sense the slightest bit of anxiety from Tang Wulin's confident expression. In fact, his smile was simply too dazzling for her. As if to tell Tang Wulin to surrender right then and there, Xu Lixi gave him a meaningful look from behind Yi Xinglan. However, Tang Wulin ignored Xu Lixi's warning. Instead, he was completely calm as he continued to hold Yi Xinglan's gaze. Yi Xinglan's expression quickly turned dark. She nodded at Tang Wulin repeatedly. Good. Very good. Let me see just how skilled you are then. After spitting out these words, she swiftly turned around and left. A wry smile appeared on Tang Wulin's lips as he returned his attention to the matches in progress. Feeling a tug on his arm, Tang Wulin turned to see Gu grabbing onto him and staring right at him with eyes filled with worry. The corner of Tang Wulin's mouth curled in amusement. It's fine. We're here to challenge the powerful and gain more combat experience after all. Battling a student from Shrek Academy is a rare opportunity. You wouldn't believe how happy I am right now. Why are you guys making that face? Are you thinking it's certain that I'll lose? Well said, an icy voice interjected. Do your best and battle with all your strength. You might just have a chance at winning if you do. The trio swiveled their heads in the direction that it came from, slightly surprised at Wu Zhongkong's sudden arrival. Wu Zhongkong nodded at Tang Wulin in satisfaction. His appreciation for this disciple of his only continued to grow. Not only did Tang Wulin have a good head on his shoulders, his perception was sharp and his heart was large. The boy was only 10 years old, so Wu Zhongkong could only imagine what he would be like when he was 20. Tang Wulin's growth was unpredictable. A lot could change in 10 years. Although Tang Wulin's martial soul was weak, it had mutated and made the path to greatness available to him. If this trend continued, Tang Wulin would be destined to reach great heights in the future. Teacher Wu, Tang Wulin hastily said in greeting. Wu Zhongkong walked to stand in front of the three, gravely saying, do your best in your battles and don't feel pressured. Regardless of how it turns out, everything will be fine as long as you give it your all. In my opinion, the battle isn't completely hopeless for you. Yes? Tang Wulin answered respectfully, eyes sparkling. Battling an opponent from Shrek Academy was a wonderful chance to test himself. Tang Wulin sat down where he was, closed his eyes, and began regulating his breathing. He wanted to be in top condition when he faced Yi Xinglan. Xie was the first to have a match. His opponent wasn't particularly strong, and a little less than 5 minutes later, he stood victorious. Then it was finally Tang Wulin's turn. He sprang up from the ground, a confident smile on his face as he strode toward the arena. Big Sister Xinglan, Wulin didn't really do anything wrong. You should go easy on him, Xu Lixi implored. He still had a good impression of Tang Wulin, especially since Tang Wulin could eat so much. Such a limitless stomach was something he had never seen before, and one could only conquer a glutton by eating more than them after all. It was only because of this that Xu Lixi approved of Tang Wulin. You still have the face to say that? Would I have had to suffer so much if not for you? Stop letting this bother you so much and just watch me put him in his place. HMPH. Yi Xinglan freed herself from Xu Lixi's nagging and charged toward the stage. During the exhibition match that kicked off the tournament, few had taken note of her since she had been in the back. Furthermore, she wasn't clothed in the iconic green Shrek Academy uniform today. Instead, she wore a yellow dress. She only seemed to be a young, pretty girl. Both Tang Wulin and Yi Xinglan ascended to the stage. Upon seeing Tang Wulin's assured smile, fumes of anger poured from Yi Xinglan's head. In her eyes, that smile was provocation. Grievances filled her heart as she remembered how Tang Wulin had mooched off of her and even had the gall to pick the dishes. This bastard. Today we'll see how I put you in your place. Today's referee was the same as yesterday's. After unceremoniously announcing the rules for the match, he let the two start preparing. Tang Wulin's narrowed eyes were locked onto Yi Xinglan. After his short rest, his mind was sharp as a blade. He was like a spring, the greater the pressure placed on him, the stronger he would bounce back. At this moment, he was bursting with fighting spirit. He would rather face a powerful opponent like Yi Xinglan instead of an inexperienced one like the one from yesterday. This way, he would gain something from the battle. 3, 2, 1, begin. Tang Wulin sprang into action immediately after the referee's declaration. He stomped down with his left foot, charging straight at Yi Xinglan while a single purple ring twinkled beneath his feet. Purple? 1,000-year soul ring? This realization shocked Yi Xinglan. She hadn't seen any of Tang Wulin's previous battles, her only impression of him was his weak soul power fluctuations. She had expected that he had one ring, but never did she imagine that it would be a purple ring. Yi Xinglan instantly reassessed the situation with this new piece of information. To be able to support a 1,000-year soul ring, both his body and spirit must be powerful. There's no other explanation for it. Looks like he's more talented than I gave him credit for. But Yi Xinglan wasn't worried despite this shocking revelation. Her confidence as a student of Shrek Academy couldn't be shaken by something as minor as this. 2 yellow soul rings rose from her feet as she reached out and grasped her coalescing martial soul. Although her ring configuration was identical to Tang Wulin's opponent from the day before, Yi Xinglan's martial soul gave him a completely different feeling. A long sword materialized in her hand. Sparks of light twinkled along the slender brilliance of its yellow blade like the stars in the night sky, showcasing a splendor that was attention-grabbing even in daylight. Yi Xinglan's presence faded with the appearance of the sword, her essence fusing with it. One with the sword. A 10-year-old girl has reached such a realm? Every powerful, perceptive observer in the stands was astonished. As the two approached each other, Tang Wulin forewent his blue-silver grasp. Instead, he reached out to grab her shoulder. Yi Xinglan made her move at the very last moment. She took a step to the right. This seemingly simple action had Tang Wulin's gut twisting in alarm. Yi Xinglan's one step put her in the perfect position to strike his most vulnerable weak point. However, momentum propelled him forward and he passed through the spot that Yi Xinglan had just moved from. It was too late for him to turn around. Yi Xinglan slashed at Tang Wulin's ribs. Her sword stroke was casual and smooth, slow and steady. Unavoidable. It was in that moment of crisis that Tang Wulin displayed his body's flexibility. He twisted his body and his back arched like a bow. While he was still within striking distance, it bought him enough time for golden scales to ripple across his arm and block the blade. A metallic tick rang out. Yi Xinglan spun around, dispersing the excess energy of the clash. To her surprise, she found herself 2 meters from where she originally stood. Anxiety gripped Tang Wulin. A strange chill had penetrated his scales during their clash and had violently rushed into his body. He summoned his bloodline power and soul power into action, sealing the foreign energy off. Only with the combined power of the two could he keep it at bay. Even then, light exploded from his right arm, sending him reeling back 2 steps. From just this brief clash, Tang Wulin was clearly the one at a disadvantage. However, astonishment flashed in Yi Xinglan's eyes. My Star God sword Star God energy couldn't invade his body? Usually even 3-ringed soul masters can't defend against it. This guy's body is weird. His arm has scales on it. Despite her mind whirling with shock, Yi Xinglan did not pause. Her first soul ring lit up the moment she stopped spinning, imbuing starlight into the blade as she aimed at Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin trembled in the face of this attack. Her first move had already displayed the terrifying strength of her sword. He had already been hard-pressed to defend against her sword when she wasn't using a soul skill, so he could only imagine how powerful it would be when it was combined with one. Tang Wulin could no longer afford to hold back. Strand after strand of blue-silver grass sprang out and wove together into a large net in front of him, intent on enveloping the stellar attack. His martial soul has nothing to do with the scales on his arm. Does he have twin souls? Yi Xinglan's mind quickly processed this new knowledge. The starlight and blue-silver grass collided. Nothing exploded. Instead, golden light dyed each and every strand of grass it touched, wresting control of the grass out of Tang Wulin's hands. What is that? Tang Wulin's shock deepened as Yi Xinglan pointed her sword at the sky, directing the gold-touched blue-silver grass into the air. Now, nothing stood between the two. What a strange soul skill. Even though he was startled, Tang Wulin quickly retreated. Violet light flickered in his eyes as he activated purple demon eyes. Faced with such a powerful opponent, he couldn't afford not to use every trick up his sleeve. The moment she saw the purple glint in Tang Wulin's eyes, Yi Xinglan closed her own. She activated her second soul skill, shrouding herself in starlight. The defense was airtight, without a single gap for Tang Wulin's purple demon eyes to attack. That shield can defend against spiritual attacks. Yi Xinglan cut through the net of blue-silver grass she had seized control of and thrust her star-god sword at Tang Wulin. Flickering duplicates charged at Tang Wulin as her footwork changed into mysterious erratic steps. Not good. Tang Wulin had a wealth of combat experience, but even the cleverest housewife couldn't cook without rice. With the control of his martial soul stolen by his opponent, what else could he do? Tang Wulin made a surprising choice. He closed his eyes. Since he couldn't clearly ascertain the situation, he would use his other senses. Tang Wulin's spiritual power exceeded 200 points, meaning he was in the intermediate spirit connection realm. Taking his constant forging into consideration, his perception could not be compared with that of an ordinary person. With his gaze still shuttered, he willed his right hand to transform into the golden dragon claw. Ding! Tang Wulin brandished his claws, blocking the strike to his shoulder. His claw blocked the star god energy. Even when the star god sword released more energy, it couldn't move a single inch forward. Tang Wulin held the sword in place, but Yi Xinglan responded swiftly. She freed her sword with a flick of her wrist and commanded the surrounding starlight to gather around her sword. The star god sword grew with a brighter radiance. At the same time, Tang Wulin regained control over his blue-silver grass. Tang Wulin clawed at her, but Yi Xinglan simply swatted his attack down. His ability to sense Yi Xinglan's location, on the other hand, was increasingly accurate. You've got some good tricks. It looks like I'll need to take this seriously. Yi Xinglan nimbly retreated. Her eyes brightened, then shone as if they were two stars. Specks of starlight converged around her and without any warning, she charged forward again, twice as fast as before. Her star-god sword seemed to become the manifestation of the myriad stars in the skies as it advanced upon Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin recalled his blue-silver grass to fortify his defense. Yi Xinglan's sword danced as she struck the thicket of grass. With each stroke of her blade, a strand of blue-silver grass would explode in a burst of light. The tip of her sword fluttered about like a butterfly. Blue-silver grass would scatter wherever it touched, until dozens of swords stabbed at Tang Wulin simultaneously, completely surrounding him. This wasn't a soul skill, it was pure technique. In that moment, Tang Wulin gained a newfound appreciation for Wu Zhongkong. The star god sword's attack patterns were very similar to Wu Zhongkong's frost scars. Facing her formidable sword technique, Tang Wulin already knew how to retaliate. A radiant strand of blue-silver grass sprung up in front of him, golden scales lining it. The strand wrapped along the length of the sword, disturbing its star god energy and restricting its movement. Most of the sword stabs were blocked by the troublesome grass while his dragon claw held the rest of the attacks at bay. With these defensive measures, he was barely able to endure Yi Xinglan's offensive. Naturally, it was all thanks to gold light that his blue-silver grass could subdue the explosive star god energy. He activated Bind, specifically for the strands of blue-silver grass encircling the sword, and charged forward with the aid of his spirit soul. An orb of starlight fell onto his blue-silver grass, interrupting his soul skill. Yi Xinglan's figure flickered. She bypassed his golden blue-silver grass and appeared just before him. She thrusted out her star god sword, 10 stabs manifesting all at once. Let's see how you deal with this. Yi Xinglan roared. She had never expected that with her abilities, she would have so much difficulty against a mere one-ringed opponent. Though his martial soul was blue-silver grass, it wasn't ordinary, a variant. What was most alarming was his golden dragon claw. She felt the greatest threat from his claw and didn't dare let go of her sword. She had a gut feeling that the match would be lost if he managed to grab her sword. Although her star god sword was powerful, once removed from her grasp, she would be helpless against his spirit soul-enhanced blue-silver grass. For now, she wanted to see how Tang Wulin would deal with her. Indeed, Tang Wulin found it increasingly hard to block all her attacks. Even if he could sense all of the incoming sword thrusts, his reaction time was too slow. What do I do? In this moment of crisis, he made a valiant choice. Ignoring the incoming stars, Tang Wulin charged toward her, his golden dragon claw serving as the vanguard. He brandished his claw wildly to do two things: protect his body and grab Yi Xinglan. Mutual destruction. Tang Wulin was confident in the destructive power of his claw. He also knew that his body could endure the blow for a brief moment. In that moment before his body collapsed, he would attack her in a frenzy. Shooting stars were lodged into Tang Wulin's golden dragon claw, enveloping him in a bloody aura. The star god energy was about to erupt, but he was already in front of her. Shock flashed through her eyes. She jabbed her sword forward and activated both her soul rings. A mass of starlight descended, encasing her body like a stellar fortress. Multicolored light exploded as the golden claw and the shield of starlight clashed. Yet the starlight shield proved short-lived as Tang Wulin dug his claws into it, tearing the starlight into shreds. The last couple of moves illustrated just what made Yi Xinglan a Shrek student. She bent over backwards, evading the claw by an inch while thrusting her sword simultaneously at Tang Wulin's right armpit. Tang Wulin recoiled his arm, deflecting the sword's path. Finally, Yi Xinglan's defensive maneuvers came to an end. His claw gripped her sword with incredible strength, issuing out a metallic clang. She nearly lost hold of her sword when a sudden wave of force propagated through it. A boom resounded as light shot out from Tang Wulin. With a low groan, his golden dragon claw disappeared and the explosion hurled him back through the air. "Stop!" the referee shouted. He flew over to Tang Wulin's side. Holding Tang Wulin with one arm, the referee used the other to apply a healing white light on the wounds, preventing further blood loss. Yi Xinglan sat on the ground, staring at Tang Wulin in despondency. Throughout her life, she had never achieved such a difficult victory against a peer. That guy, how is he able to fight so hard? And there's his dragon claw. It's so strong. How was it able to stop my soul skill? I should have been more prepared, then I wouldn't be in such a situation. Is he okay? Tang Wulin was in a dire state. His body was dyed crimson, face pale and eyes closed. His consciousness had long since been lost. During their final clash, Tang Wulin had held on by sheer will alone. When he could no longer endure the star god energy, and his soul power collapsed within his body, he was incapacitated by the damage. He could no longer sustain his golden dragon claw either. Yet, if he had been able to persevere for another second, perhaps the outcome of the match would differ. Wu Zhongkong ascended to the stage quickly. He retrieved Tang Wulin from the referee's hold and applied an icy mist onto the wounds. Without sparing Yi Xinglan a single glance, he exited the stage with Tang Wulin in his arms. Ji Yu and Xie Xie rushed over to their teacher. Upon seeing her blooded comrade, Ji Yu emanated killing intent. A chilling shiver ran down Yi Xinglan's spine as she pushed herself off the ground. She turned toward Ji Yu subconsciously. The two girls' gazes clashed in midair, sparks shooting everywhere. Wu Zhangkong's hands moved in a blur as he examined Tang Wulin. A moment later, he declared, "He's fine. They are just superficial wounds. I'll bring him back first." He lifted Tang Wulin and after few mystical steps, he disappeared, his silhouette but a dream. The second round of the individual competition concluded. Tang Wulin lost. After Wu Zhongkong left, Ji Yu approached the stage, her eyes gleaming with 6 different glints and her bloodlust exploding. Even Xie Xie, who was undoubtedly on her side, treated her like a volcano about to erupt. Once she descended from the stage, Yi Xinglan waited for the approaching Ji Yu, not one bit afraid. "I want to challenge you." Ji Yu's voice was ice cold. Yi Xinglan snorted. I'm only doing one match for the individual competition. If you want to challenge me, then do it in the team competition. She departed after spitting out these words. Gu was about to chase after her, but Xie Xie restrained her arm. Don't be impulsive, Gu. She's from Shrek. Gu whipped her head back at Xie Xie, giving him a fright. So what if she's from Shrek? Xie Xie released her in haste. Embarrassed, he said, what I'm trying to say is that it won't mean anything unless we defeat them in a fair match. Actually, Wu Lin was an inch away from victory. So you should have an idea of how strong Shrek is now. Gu's bloodlust gradually subsided, the thick killing intent around her lessening. She snorted before walking away. Hey, don't you still have your own match? Xie Xie called after her. I'm forfeiting. I'm going to go see Wu Lin. The instant she finished speaking, she broke into a run. Sun with rays. Tang Wulin awoke to a cool sensation. When he opened his eyes, he saw the usual glacial expression of Wu Zhongkong. Teacher Wu, he called out softly. He struggled to get up, but the tearing pain halted his efforts. Wu Zhongkong glanced at him. You're awake? You still need to recover. Tang Wulin said, but, my match. Wu Zhongkong said, don't even think about it. Recover first. You've done well today. You had a chance of winning in that match, but what you're lacking in now is combat ability. Once you're better, I'll teach you another secret art of the Tang sect. Tang Wulin was at a loss. But, aren't I only allowed to learn 2 right now? I've only passed the medium-level test so far. Wu Zhongkong said, a 3rd-rank professional can learn an additional secret art. I didn't teach you a 3rd one last time because I was afraid you would be biting off more than you could chew. I'll choose another art that is suitable for you. For now, you just rest and recover. Wu Lin, you're awake. Gu brought a cup of water over to him. She added a straw for his convenience. Drink slowly, you don't want to choke. A smile graced Tang Wulin's lips when he saw the concern in her eyes. He drank a bit of water through the straw. Thank you. What time is it right now? Gu answered, it's just past noon. Are you hungry now? I'll go get you something to eat. Tang Wulin said, no, it's fine. Don't forget about the match in the afternoon. I might not be able to battle, but you guys still can. Do your best for me. I've already been eliminated from the individual competition, so I only have the team competition left. Gu was dumbfounded. You still want to compete? Of course. You don't have to worry, I'm fine. They are just flesh wounds. I'll be all better by tomorrow. A strange emotion welled in his heart. When he tried to move his body a while ago, he was hit with waves of ache, followed by an eerie numbness that faded into an itch. However, this was a good sign. It meant he was healing quickly. Wu Zhongkong's eyes narrowed. You felt it too? Huh? Tang Wulin made a confused face. Wu Zhongkong said, when I was helping you close your wounds, I discovered that your body's recovery ability is abnormally great. The sliced muscles were practically squirming to knit themselves back together and your other wounds were closing as well. That was the first time I had ever seen something like that. It is probably related to your bloodline. Does your body feel strange anywhere? Tang Wulin's lips morphed into a wry smile. Apart from being hungry, I feel fine. Wu Zhongkong nodded. It seems all that food you eat hasn't gone to waste. Gu, can you fetch some high-protein food for him? All right. Gu was overjoyed from Tang Wulin's speedy recovery and rushed off to complete her task. How do you feel about today's battle? Wu Zhongkong asked. After a moment of retrospection, Tang Wulin answered, she's really strong. Her martial soul is powerful and her control is amazing. I can't match her in martial soul control. If it wasn't for my golden dragon claw, I probably wouldn't have stood a chance. Wu Zhongkong made another gesture of approval. That's right. If she hadn't underestimated you, you wouldn't have stood a chance. Your golden dragon claw can't be sustained for long. If she had been more prepared against you, she could have easily stalled until you ran out of soul power. After a while, you would lose your martial soul's protection and the might of your golden dragon claw. Then defeat would be inevitable. It was only because she was too focused on a quick victory that you had a possibility of winning. You did pretty well, but in order to put perception and control into use, you need a sufficient power base. Yes. Tang Wulin understood Wu Zhangkong's meaning. He was still too weak. He had only the bind soul skill, and though his control over his blue-silver grass had improved, it wasn't at the point of mastery. Furthermore, the mighty golden dragon claw required close combat usage to be most effective. Not only that, but it also couldn't be sustained. The Tang sect's purple demon eyes was no exception. Its power was not absolute. After all, the technique had been blocked that very day. What he needed was to expand his library of battle skills and increase his overall combat ability. His first time injured so badly, Tang Wulin found his own recovery speed astonishing. This time, he had suffered quite a bit at Yi Xinglan's hands. Although her star god energy didn't penetrate into his body, they exploded on his skin. That was more than enough to leave him in that blood-soaked state. Surprisingly, it took him 2 hours after waking up to rise. His wounds were scabbed over like bizarre patchwork on a quilt. By the time night settled, Tang Wulin could walk on his own and left for dinner. Although his body was littered with wounds, concentrated on non-vital areas like his limbs, his rapid healing left his teammates utterly speechless. They gawked and couldn't help but treat him as a monster. Despite Tang Wulin's absence in the team event's second round, his team emerged victorious due to Ji Yu's brazen charge. Their weak opponents were no match against her. Xie Xie was the sole participant from their group to fight in the individual competition. Tang Wulin was left with the blacksmiths and team competitions. Regardless of his swift recovery, forging required immense amounts of energy. As such, he decided to skip the final round of the blacksmith's competition after careful deliberation with Center Yu. However, he was guaranteed a spot in the top 2 because he forged a second-grade 1000 refined metal. After all, the competition was scored by the sum of all the points obtained, with a significant amount based from the quality of refinement. You couldn't have gotten injured on purpose to make me the champion, right? Mu Shi had received the news of Tang Wulin's injuries right after dark and ran over immediately. The moment she saw Tang Wulin, her anxiety was washed away. This guy is still gorging himself on food while in bed. He hasn't even slowed down a little from his usual pace. It seems his injuries weren't that serious. Of course not. My opponent was way stronger than me, Tang Wulin said as he continued to nibble on some pork shoulder. Mu Shi said, "It's good if you're alright then. Be careful in the future. And you can rejoice, you little money grubber. I won the championship and the money is yours." Hee hee. Thanks a lot, senior disciple sister. Actually, I really lost this time since I was too injured to compete. You're such a good person though. Mu Shi giggled. That's enough. Stop flattering me so much. We both know how much you love money. Anyway, are you hungry for anything else? I'll go buy it for you. Eat more and quickly recover. Tang Wulin put down his pork shoulder without a peep. This was the third time that this had happened. Before Mu Shi came, Ji Yu, Xie Xie, and Xu Xiaoyan had stopped by with the same offer. Afterward, Center Yu paid him a visit and did the same. It was finally Mu Shi's turn. Why does everyone who visits me treat me like a glutton? Even if I really am one, can't they show some tact? Mu Shi giggled as she took in Tang Wulin's face that is blushing with embarrassment. Who did you lose to today that left you in such a state? Tang Wulin said, a girl with a sword. He omitted the fact that she was from Shrek since he didn't harbor any grudge against her. Besides, she was just a proud girl. In reality, she had been pulling her punches in today's match, avoiding vital parts. If not, then Tang Wulin wouldn't have been so well off. There was a knock on the door. Mu Shi cracked it open slightly to check who it was. The little fatty Shu Lishi stood outside, stunned for an instant at the sight of Mu Shi. Hello, I'm looking for Tang Wulin. Come on in. Mushi opened the door wide for him. Shulishi's nose twitched a couple of times, his face is fat contorting to squeeze his eyes. Pork shoulder. You have pork shoulder. He walked in, swallowing a gulp of saliva at the sight of the delicacies arrayed before Tang Wulin. Lishi, you want to join me for a bit? Tang Wulin was taken by surprise at his visit. Shulishi lowered his head. Sorry Wulin. It's all my fault. This all happened because I forgot my money that day and couldn't treat you guys. Xinglan is actually a really good person. She's usually taking care of me. Please don't hold a grudge against her. Tang Wulin shook his head. It's fine. It was a match, you know. It's only natural for there to be some injuries. How could I be angry with her? Just look, don't I seem better already? We might run into each other later in the team competition. I'll have my teammates with me, so we might just snatch victory from you then. I'm by no means the strongest on my team. Shock crept through Shulishi's face, pupils blown wide. Why you? You're fine? Big Sis Xinglan's star god energy is so fearsome, but you're already able to sit up. He had been distracted by the allure of food when he first entered the room. He just noticed Tang Wulin's healthy state, his cheerful feasting the proof of his recovery. Shouldn't he still be severely injured? Tang Wulin said, I eat a lot so my skin is a bit tougher and thicker than normal. Off to the side, Mushi nodded in understanding. Her actions did not go unnoticed by Tang Wulin. Senior disciple sister, if you don't have anything else to do, then you should go back and rest. This video will end here.